2019 and we are back in Sydney, fam. Oh my gosh, feels good to be back. I'll tell you what, no matter how long I go for or where I go, nothing beats the feeling of being back home. 2019 is going to be an absolutely massive year for me. I want to get into the best shape of my life. I want to save lots of money, really learn Spanish and become fluent at it the best as I can. And like get a haircut and shower and all that good stuff. But that's not why you clicked on this video, to hear me ramble on about my 2019. You want to know how much I spent in Mexico and how much it cost the whole trip. So let's get into it and not waste any more time. Alright. Oh, and also, this damn hat I brought brand new and I didn't even bring it in Mexico with me. So in Mexico, all up cost me a whopping $8,660.68. Now that is way over budget. I really wanted to just spend maybe $6,000 or so, but that number includes everything from my return flight, accommodation, travel insurance. Now with the cash component, I found that the best place with the best exchange rates were at Mexico Airport. The best I found was 13.65 and 13.5. In some exchange places in the main tourist areas only exchanged about 10 pesos per Australian dollar. So now something I want to mention quickly as well, I did a quick comparison between what the exchange rate of my credit card was at the time as when I exchanged my cash. So when I exchanged 500 bucks at 13.65 pesos, my credit card was at 14.05 pesos. So a lot better there. And even on the bottom end, when I exchanged a couple of $100 bucks for 12.45 pesos, my credit card was at 13.62. So alright, now getting to the detail, if you guys have watched a couple of my vlogs and followed me throughout my trips, and watched a couple of my how much does this cost videos, you'll be very familiar with this table here. So I use the same table everywhere I go. So for those that haven't seen it, I'll just quickly go through how it works. Here's the date, here's the type, whether it's a credit card or cash down here. As a description, I found that the more detailed it is, the better it is. So when you look back after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 months even, or whatever, you'll know exactly where you spent. It's not just taxi or dinner. You know where it was, and how much a taco costs or how much a drink costs. The amount in the local currency, Mexican pesos in this case, sometimes in US dollars. Category. Now with the categories, keep it simple. Doesn't have to be too detailed. So when you put in a pivot table, which I'll show you later, it'll be easy to tell how much you spent in each category. So for my categories, I've got accommodation, activity, clothes, diving, drinks, electronics, flights, food, haircut, insurance, laundry, souvenirs, toiletries, tours, transport, and visas. So keep it as simple as that. Even if they don't exactly fit into one of those categories, you don't need to put a separate one for like one transaction of $5 for something else. So for this trip, I wasn't exactly 100% on top of recording all the cash that I spent. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy in how much cash I actually spent and how much I've recorded. I spent 1,300 bucks total, but I've only recorded maybe 1050, so I'm missing $250 somewhere in there. But okay, so now the pivot table. This is the most important table, but it's not going to work unless you really put work into the back table and really put all the information and record things properly. So here it is. As you can see, my total spend was $8,660 bucks, but I've only recorded about $8,400. So okay, so going through it one by one. Accommodation, $1,280 bucks. This is what I spent on each place in Mexico, and if you follow me throughout my vlogs, you can sort of see what each place kind of looked like. So as you can see, not the cheapest places. The lowest that I found in all of Mexico was like maybe 20 to 30 bucks for a dorm room. Hostels here in Mexico City at DF Suites, Hotel Romo where I was stuck in Los Mochis for a couple of days, that was 30 bucks. May and Monkey Hostel was a lot more expensive because even though it's just a hostel, it was Christmas and New Year's, so you pay a little bit more. Now, Maria del Mar in Isla Mujeres, that killed me. 200 bucks, 211 bucks a night. shot up, blew the budget there. Playa del Carmen, reasonable. 2-tank dive hostel, reasonable as well at 22 bucks. And Lucky Traveler Hostel in Tulum, I don't know what I was thinking when I booked that. 90 bucks, even if it was all inclusive. It was good and convenient, but yeah, I don't think it was worth 90 bucks to be honest. The gap here of 4 nights, I was in Orizaba, so that was the $660 tour where I climbed Pico de Orizaba, so accommodation, food and everything like that was already included. And I spent a bit more here because I doubled up on my bookings. So when my El Chepe train ride failed and I didn't get on the train, I had accommodation booked along the countryside for the next 3 nights, so wasted a bit of money there, a bit of double booking. So all up, there's my total, and 21 days minus, you know, sleeping at the airport and Orizaba, I spent about 60 bucks a night for 21 days in Mexico. So a bit on the expensive end, but you know, sometimes you're gonna go cheap and throughout the trip you might go a bit more expensive in a proper hotel. So just on average, that's how much I spent. So next is activities. So I spent $1,025 there. Activities, so stuff like my tattoo was 220 bucks. You know, stuff like snorkeling, my New Year's Eve party ticket, which was 140 bucks. Hot air balloon, which was 200 bucks. And you know, like random entrances and little day tours and stuff like that. Clothes, 31 bucks. I did buy 1 jacket in Mexico City because it was so cold there. I could not survive on the stuff that I brought. So diving, $630. Now, we'll make a note, diving in Mexico is expensive, even more expensive than Sydney, but it is worth a bit more of your dollar, even if it is expensive, because there's a lot more to see. You know, you're diving with bull sharks, you're in a cenote and stuff like that. So yeah, it was like $80 or $90 per dive. I only did 1, 2, 5 or 6 dives? 5 dives. Yeah, I only did 5 dives and it was 630 bucks, so yeah, that's pretty expensive. Now drinks, 20 bucks. So when I'm on holidays, I obviously don't drink very much, so I save a lot there. That's the times when I actually just go out to drink. But you know, sometimes I do drink with my dinner, so that goes into with the food. Flights, $3,666.90. Now this is where I blew it. Now traveling in Christmas and New Year's, I'm always going to be cursed with having to spend double to triple the flight costs. But this trip was absolutely ridiculous. That accounts for nearly half the total money that I spent. And you know, my return flight from Sydney to Mexico was about 2,200 bucks. And so I did spend quite a bit with the domestic flights. I really did blow it when I didn't make it on the El Chepe train ride again, because I had to double book a flight, waste $400, spend another $600 to get myself to Cancun. So yeah, wasted a bit of money there. Food, 480 bucks. Food, I will say, is generally cheap in Mexico, although you will have to really go find really cheap food there, and you probably find in places you don't want to be. Restaurants are reasonable, but I did still spend about, you know, like $8 to $10 a meal sometimes, and you know, sometimes I spend 15 to 20 bucks. So it's not like Asia. I don't expect it to be like Asia where you're gonna always spend $4 to $5 a meal. Travel insurance, 200 bucks there. Souvenirs, 100 bucks. So that's like, you know, these rings, not this one, bracelets, was it magnets? I like having magnets. If you see my room, I've got a wall of magnets there, so 100 bucks on that. Tours, 660 bucks. So that was Pico de Orizaba. You know, pretty expensive for a mountain trek, but it is 5,800 meters, and that's the average price if you wanted to climb Pico de Orizaba. So that's just what it is. Transport, 181 bucks. Pretty reasonable. Uber's pretty good. Taxis, depending where you go and how good you are with bargaining and who you get as well, you can bargain them down to pretty good prices. And visas, 120 bucks. So blew it there, $90 US spending on a visa, which should have been just $14 US. This was my first vlog when I nearly didn't make it out of the country and nearly turned out to be a disaster. So next we'll just have a look at how much Mexico costs per day. Now I know a lot of this is subjective, but we'll just have a look at the 3 main things, which is accommodation, transport, and food. So accommodation for 21 days is 61 bucks. For food, 22 bucks, and for transport about $9 a day. So in total it's 92 bucks per day for the 21 days minus my Orizaba trip. So 92 bucks a day for the 3 main essentials. It's not the cheapest place you could backpack. It's almost like a flash packer kind of place, which is kind of how I traveled anyway. I wasn't staying at the cheapest hostel, I wasn't eating the cheapest street food there was, and you know, like I did splurge a little bit on transport. So yeah, to me that's how much I'd recommend as a base budget, and then obviously activities, diving, souvenirs, insurance, flights, that's what's going to determine the rest of it. And I think with that budget, there's a lot of fat, as we call it here in Australia, a lot of extra money there. So yeah, you're in a better position to spend a bit less if you have about 90 bucks a day from Mexico. Alright, so that's done. Another how much did this country cost me video done. Hope you guys found that really useful, and you know, one day help you in your travels if you go traveling in Mexico. Definitely for the next trip I'm gonna really try hard to not spend and blow so much money on flights. I don't know how, since I always travel at the same time every year. But yes, Mexico is definitely a great place. Really an adventure country. You saw with everything that I did, all the stuff that I love doing, climbing mountains, diving, exploring around, practicing my Spanish. So I really enjoyed it there. The only probably one thing I didn't like about it was like where the diving was, and the main tourist place is like a big tourist area like Cancun and all those places, obviously where is a big holiday place for Americans, so you could expect a lot of them there. And I think I'll just say the 2 most memorable things I did in Mexico was spending New Year's Eve with Omar and his mum. I really enjoyed that, and yeah, it was just a really good evening with good food and good company. And Isla Mujeres with Gemma. Hema. Yeah, it was just a really fun day, and you know, we got out on our little golf carts and explored around the island, and we just went to where we wanted to go and made a video out of it. So but yeah, anyway, this video is getting a bit too long. Hope you guys really enjoyed my Mexico vlogs. I don't know when I'm gonna go overseas next, but when I do, I'm sure to let you guys know. So thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.